Can I come with you?
No, you certainly can't, you little git. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the next step in Screamer evolution. No longer were they just mobile minds that screamed and shredded you. Now they look just like us. They could walk, talk, and smile their way past our defences, until the opportune moment to strike. I have been tasked by Alliance Command to investigate and brief you unlucky souls before you're deployed and potentially will be facing off against this new threat. But how do we go from this, a simple killing machine, to an advanced infiltration robot? Well, the only way this could have happened is in the Screamer factory itself. This factory is AI controlled, and apart from its initial construction and sinking into the planet, no human has ever stepped foot in it again. This leaves the horrifying evolution completely in the hands of the self-regulating AI. Though the Alliance scientists will say this is impossible, the soldiers on the ground from both sides of the conflict have seen this new breed of killing machines themselves, and to say it was a shock would be the understatement of the century. There are 4 confirmed types of infiltrators, 3 being human in design, the Type 2, which is a grown man, said to be pretending to be an injured soldier, the Type 3, which is a child going by the name of David. The next is an unknown type, designated a female going by the name Jessica. All 3 of these are produced in large amounts and have strengths and weaknesses, but more importantly, the Screamers use them for specific infiltration missions. So if you turn away the Type 2 because you don't trust a grown man, well, you're probably going to let the Type 3 in, as who's going to send away a scared, hungry child? The confirmed non-human Screamer infiltrator has been considered laughable and a joke by Alliance High Command. But I'm not laughing, I can assure you of that. This Screamer is a child's toy, specifically a teddy bear carried by the Type 3 Davids, because who would suspect a child and its toy to be killing machines? It truly is terrifying that the technology is able to be miniaturized to this level, and God only knows what other infiltration machines are coming our way in the future. This new strategy by the Screamers is the first proof that the AI that builds and sets their missions is sentient and rogue, going after all humans with no mercy being spared for anyone. Secondly, the Screamers aren't mindless mobile minds like the simple Type 1s. They're smart and working in tandem with the older models, using them as hunters and traps waiting to be sprung, and any area too secure or well defended to be breached by these early models would now become a target for the various infiltrators, and from the reports I'm reading, they have become very successful in that role. To go into details of these new types will shed some light on their abilities. First, the Type 2. A fully grown man, a soldier or so he says. He will fit right into the canteen, drinking, smoking and swearing like any good trooper. He also comes across rather temperamental, arrogant, with a preference for confrontation and trying to initiate arguments and fights. This seems counterproductive to an infiltrator, yet it's very smart. He displays some of the worst and most disliked characteristics that humans have. This gels well with his athletic and tall build, and he is an intimidating figure to many, and will use this to leverage his way into areas that he wouldn't normally have access to. According to one report, the Type 2 even shot and destroyed a Type 3 Screamer, alerting the accompanying humans to the new infiltrator class. The fact that one Screamer will kill another to further their goals shows a hive mind mentality where they're willing to die for the greater good of the group as a whole. This is really bad news for us. We really need to get our crap together to counter this threat immediately, otherwise, before we know it, there will be 1,000 different types embedded in every single part of our civilization. We also need to explore whether the Screamers know about other types. It would make sense that a Type 3 knows about earlier types but not future ones, for instance. And can they spot each other and choose to pretend not to know? Or is there some inbuilt programming that makes them act neutral to one another until their cover is blown, at which point the Screamers work in tandem to kill the human targets, or whatever goal they are striving to achieve at the time. And the manipulation was so effective that a Type 2 Screamer killed a human and was able to make it look like the outcome of paranoia and fear. The amount of confusion and chaos a single infiltrator will cause in our ranks is going to be far beyond what we can tolerate, and the more infiltrators that interject themselves into human groups is only going to exacerbate this situation to the point where humans are going to turn on each other en masse. Casualties are going to skyrocket, and I'm expecting it to get even worse the longer the war goes on. The Type 2 is also very physically capable, stronger than any human, and able to crush a grown man's body and snap the bones pretty easily. It's also very fast, and it's able to overpower the best trained soldiers without a problem. And pain seems not to faze them at all. If anything, pain is just an indicator of the damage to their actual structure. There's nothing that would affect them, and if armed with a range weapon the Type 2s also crack shots, we're talking a well-trained soldier that in reality doesn't need to sleep, eat, or even feels pain or fear. It truly is a nightmare scenario on the battlefield. The Type 3s, also known as Davids, are designed as a human boy around the ages of 10. He is soft of voice and has a sense of being lost and confused, asking, "Can I come with you?" Smart to play on our urge to help an innocent child. They're normally encountered in no man's land, wandering endlessly, waiting for human groups to come across them. And the Davids are master of using sympathy and compassion to their benefit, often being guided back to safe locations brought deep into the area, and when the time is right, unleashing its jaws to kill the unexpected people around it. What's odd is the David is only ever seen walking slowly, never running, climbing, just a slow and steady walk towards you, either asking to come with you, or unleashing the deafening and mind-boggling scream that we all know and fear. Multiple reports of Type 3s wiping out entire bunkers. My theory is they move from person to person, likely while they're asleep, and kill their victims very quietly. As if discovered, a screamer like the David will not last long in combat. We have confirmed battle footage of a group comprising of NEB and Alliance soldiers with several infiltrators being in their group, engaging at least 30 plus Type 3s and annihilating them with the help from a small tactical nuke. Still, if these had been Type 2s en masse, running around and splitting up as they were opening fire, they would have overrun this group with ease. So the Type 3s are most certainly for infiltrating and stealthily engaging their targets. Direct conflict is a losing situation for the Davids. To add to the threat of the Davids, there is an unknown type of screamer that is a child's toy. This cuddly bear is actually a machine in disguise. What's really worrying is it seems to be capable of moving by itself and interacting with objects. Though small, it's reasonable to assume it's stronger than it looks, and I believe from my research that this screamer is able to move through human safe areas like bunkers or secure cities, and then sabotage various infrastructure such as communications or power supplies. It could even move through things like small vents, which is pretty worrying. And it could also allow access for other screamers by opening doors via internal controls, or like the Type 1 Revise, it probably has some form of tool to hack and interact with computers that could cause chaos on any human force. I'm advising security and customs to search every object that comes their way. I want everything scanned, and anything suspicious needs to be destroyed. A single small screamer getting off-world could be cataclysmic to us. Even though small, this screamer might be capable of effectively killing someone, we're not too sure. But a small saw or bladed weapon being hidden inside is not that far-fetched. So if encountering, the same measures as a Type 1. Keep at range, blast it to bits, and be careful when you close in. For all we know, they're full of explosives or poison. The most surprising of all the types is the female calling itself Erica. This screamer seems far more advanced in terms of biology, and it can cry, bleed, and even engage in sexual relations with other humans, and they don't discover it's a machine, which means it must be anatomically correct. So the internal mechanics must be very well hidden, and I think it would take a very deep wound to expose any internal machinery. The emotional responses from the Jessica model are on point, with it being able to show the full range of human emotions from anger to fear, and even love, yes, love, or what it wants its human targets to think is love. Now we have a very odd situation where a Jessica model defended a human from another Jessica screamer. Now was this actual love for the said human, we don't know, or was this machine playing the long game to build trust and further infiltrate into humanity? The witness of this fight has told us of the combat abilities of the Jessica. She's very fast and agile, easily able to take on any combat specialist, and the strength is tremendous, being able to rip through a fellow screamer's body with a single punch. It means if infiltrated by one single model, it could easily kill several men in close combat without taking a scratch. Another weird thing to report is that screamers of higher intelligence such as the Type 2s don't always fight with their full ferocity or abilities, seeming to toy with human targets, goading and relishing in the torture of the humans. It shows a sidetracking of the screamer's main objective to kill efficiently, and a sentience with them being rather psychotic and sinister. As the screamers grow in intelligence, we will see personalities as various types appear, and the Factory's AI, which is top of the screamer's chain, may need to deal with its own creations at this rate. And the combat between the Jessica models proves this. It's a positive for humanity that internal screamer conflicts are beginning to arise, but don't count your chickens yet, as the majority still stick to their primary job of infiltrating and killing us. The screamers are also capable of killing humans and using parts of them to make new disguises. This has been seen where a Type 2 used a face taken from a soldier they had tortured and killed, but the distinctive teardrop tattoo can be seen around the eyes. I'm not exactly sure how they did this, but the fact that they can kill and reuse our skin now ramps up the threat even more, and they can even change their voices. This is a terrible revelation, and we need to really ramp up security. Even now I've got my shotgun resting on my desk, just in case the guards outside my door aren't who I think they are. The durability of all screamer types seems to be very tough, able to shrug off small wounds and even severed limbs, and major damage to them that would paralyse most humans doesn't seem to them. But the average weapon of a NEB or Alliance trooper is more than capable of killing any screamer with a direct shot to the head or torso, and more powerful weapons like small or tactical nukes and explosives can demolish entire groups of these vile machines. So as long as we can identify the screamers, we can kill them without too much trouble. But if they're also armed with ranged weapons, then it's going to be a brutal firefight. I would advise always to engage with superior numbers and heavier weapons on our side. If not tactically viable, withdraw, but as we always know, the situation on the battlefield isn't always favourable to us. Hopefully this brief report will enhance our abilities to identify and understand this new enemy. But be prepared for unforeseen circumstances. Who knows what lies ahead, but as always, ladies and gentlemen, have a beautiful evening.